Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show. Tune in for a vibrant mix of fashion, finance, and life's essential foundations. Join us for expert interviews, insightful discussions, and empowering insights to elevate your lifestyle. From fashion trends to financial tips and personal growth strategies, we've got you covered. So grab your headphones and get ready to be inspired. Tune in now to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show and embark on this exciting journey with us.
Welcome back to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show. I am your host, Teresa Lawrence, here with my fabulous guest, Ozzie Stewart. And when we left off, Ozzie told us these beautiful stories that appeared in her book, her best-selling book, Amen to Sweet Spots, correct?
Correct.
And now I want to go back and talk about fashion because, as you all know, I recently had a butterfly fashion show at the Air and Space Museum in San Diego. And it was lovely. And I had designers come and with these beautiful models, and they all strutted their stuff. And they were so gracious because after they did their show, then they all put on glow-in-the-dark butterfly wings. They did my first ever butterfly fashion show, and some people dressed up as caterpillars. It was so fun. It was off the charts amazing. People that we know, Ozzie, were there. Chris was there. Chris Miller was there, and it was joyous, just joyous. So I want to go back to the fashion industry because you have this beautiful background in dance. You know, you're very well connected, and somehow you end up in fashion. What was that like? What was it like being in the showroom? What is the process like? I mean, do the designers just like come to you with clothing, or is there like a whole process?
Okay. So wanting something to do after leaving dance, my son was a little under a year, but I'm the kind of person thank God I had a partner who was understanding, and I put out my resume, got hired by Teresa, as I said before, what I did, and she taught me so much. So she was representing a company called Climate Jericho, which is in the women's business. And what she would do is she'd sell the line. She was not making the line. So everybody in the showroom were all salespeople, but she would help merchandise what the line, when I say the line, the clothing line, produced, or the manufacturers produced, right? So they produce the stuff, they put it on line sheets. So there's descriptions to the different pieces of fashion, clothing, and she would merchandise it in the sense of, well, this goes with this, and this color goes here, and merchandise what it looks like and how it would sell. And then she would invite the buyers from, the big guys, whether it's Macy's or, at that time, Dayton's and all these different large companies, as well as the independent companies, because sometimes the independent companies bring in the funds faster to the company, whereas the big companies, they get credit net 30, net 60, depending on how large and how big the order is, net whatever, which is sometimes just crazy. Anyway, and so it's all about numbers and getting paper meaning orders. Right? So that was my life, where I was learning how to merchandise the line, how to prepare a line, how to display the line, and how to sell the line, even though I wasn't selling. But I learned everything. What happened later on?
I'm going to
Go ahead.
interrupt for a moment. So everybody that's listening, take opportunities, because everything that we do is a step. It's truly a step to the next version of us.
Yes.
And so when you are in a position and it's new and you're learning, simply know that it's going to be useful for the future.
Correct. So, it so happened that what I did not know, what Teresa never told me, was that every 7 years, she goes on a sabbatical. She travels the world. Well, 6-7 months into being with her and learning all of this great stuff, she was getting ready to leave.
Oh, wow.
And so new people were coming on board. And I was like, Teresa, what's going to happen here? Don't worry, they'll take care of you. But we know what happens. When new people come on, they come in with their new people, their own people, etc. And from the time that change happened, I knew it was time for me to find some other place. It so happened that on a Thursday evening, the gentleman who was running the company across the street, Code Blue X's baggage, which was like maybe 10 times the size of our company, met me as I was opening the door to the showroom one morning, because I'd come in very early to set things up, to see what needs to be done, clean, whatever. And he said to me, "Do you own that place?" I said, "No." He says, "Why are you here so early?" I said, "Because I have to do this, blah, 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 blah. I need to prepare things before." He says, "I'm going to tell you something because I've watched you." And he says, "Whenever you need a job, I'm going to hire you. You just let me know." This is
Wow.
Thursday.
So that's on a Thursday. When did you call him?
I went to him that Friday because I've been feeling the shift with people, right? The new people that have come on board. And they're on board now 2 weeks with me. And I'm seeing things where I'm being pushed out. "No, you can't do this. No, so-and-so will do that. Blah, blah, blah." Okay. So I went in on Friday and I said, "Phil, I know you do men's because I checked you out since you spoke to me yesterday. And I'm in women's, but I would love for you to consider me." He says, "So what's going on?" I said, "Well, there are new people who've come on board and, and I need to give them 2 weeks notice." He says, "No, what's going to happen is once you tell them in this industry that you're ready to go, you're going to be out the same day. So be prepared." I'm like, "Really?" This is my first experience in the business, right? He says, "Yes." He says, "But if you let them know today, you have a job with me on Monday."
Wow, that is beautiful.
And so said, so done. I went in the afternoon to say, "Listen, I thought about it because I thought about it. Maybe I should wait another week." Went in the afternoon and I said, "I understand that you guys are here and you have your way of doing things. And I feel like maybe I'm in the way. And I think I'd like to give you my 2 weeks notice." "Okay, fine. Get your stuff prepared and whatnot. Make sure you leave this, and say goodbye." That was it. And I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, and I left. I walked across the way. I said, "Phil, I'll see you on Monday." And I went home. Right?
Fabulous. That's such a great story.
And as I got to work with him, we had 2 weeks to prepare for the largest trade show in the country. It was called Magic in Las Vegas.
Wow.
However, he gave me all of the independent stores across the country. I'm like, he says, "You can do it." Now I have to make appointments for the show. When you go to that show, the corporation has the size of their booth is a couple of blocks big.
Wow. Huh.
Right? And it's sectioned off by the different collections with the different people who are there to sell, etc. Huge. And so now the panic has set in and I'm calling people. "Ozzie, what kind of name's that? Ozzie, I can't give you an appointment, honey, but I'll stop by, see what you got." Didn't get one appointment, not one. My peers, you couldn't see the appointment page because they were double and triple booked. I'm nervous. I go in from the beginning to the end of the show. The show is a 4-day show. We go in a day before to set up, see things. And so in 5 days out in Vegas, my first show, Teresa, from the beginning to the end, I would go on the floor. And as people come to meet me, I'd say, "Hi, how are you doing this and this? This is what we're doing." And I start my sales pitch. And as Peter comes around, I say, "Peter, hi, how are you doing? So, meet Joe, da, 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 da." And this is where we're at. We pick up the line. And I would run the sales, yeah? And people came packed. At the end of the day, they would come back to me when I should be going to dinner, when the owner of the company, after the first day says, "I'd like you to join us for dinner." I said, No. I have to meet with so-and-so because they want me to help merchandise their line for the store. Help them write their orders, in other words.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I lost weight. I didn't get to meet with anybody in the company. At the end of the day, my paper was stacked. That was what was important to me, right?
Right.
I got a notification from the owner and next time, blah, blah, blah. Wonderful stuff. As I saw that happen and I saw what was needed to make this thing happen, I finally moved on to have my showroom. And in this time, I am now the rep. I am now the owner of the showroom as a rep with my own employees. So my thing was, okay, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. Instead of being a one lone salesperson with 4 different lines, meaning 4 different companies that you're running. When you go to Magic, you're running at 4 o'clock to meet this appointment at that booth, and you're running over there to, I decided it's going to cost me more, but I'm going to bring in my salespeople with me. It's going to cost with hotel and whatnot. And each person is designated a line to be in. So that means each person is concentrated on a company to bring that paper. So at the end of the day, paper was massive. And I started that trend. So that was a major thing for me.
Okay.
But in terms of merchandising, a line, I know we might be going on time, but
No, we're good. We're good on time. I just
good on
wanted
time?
to
Okay.
transition.
Okay, but when you're looking at producing a line now, for instance, Busta Rhymes wanted to put an order out, a line of clothing out. He had a designer that was working with him on his stage costumes. Different thing when you're looking at regular people. So I had to, and I already had connections in Korea and India and different places to produce lines. Sent the designer down to work on the line, disappeared. He's in the temple. Good to do, but nobody could find him. I had to get on a plane on a Wednesday, get to Korea on Friday, sit down with the manufacturer, create the entire line, get back on a plane to get back to a show on Monday.
Wow.
Yeah. So creating the line is a lot different than merchandising the line. You got to create like what Sarah does. She creates the line, et cetera, et cetera. But if there's a collection, now it's a matter of putting it together so that it's merchandised in a way that people understand how to buy, and then it fills orders.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that because I had no idea what went behind all of that. And that's just a tiny piece.
That's a tiny piece.
And for everybody listening, I get starstruck really easily, and I'm starstruck with you and all of this with fashion. And then when I was in New York doing that impact book, we had the opportunity to be photographed by a woman who was a photographer for presidents and this, that, and the other. And, she had stylists, and I'd never been styled, right? Like it was very cool. And so fashion for me is just, it's joyous because it's self-expression, and so much goes into fashion that nobody pays attention to, but just bringing the clothes to market. I mean, that's just an incredible story. So thank you for sharing. And with that, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Ozzie's nonprofit and what she has, the opportunities she has for you all to be on her podcast, if possible. So we'll find out when we get back. With that, we're taking a break.
Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show, where we talk about food, fashion, finance, and foundations of life. We are live on KCAA Radio Broadcasting Network. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Connect, and Building Solid Foundation.